Let's get right into it. Number 1. The echo of nothingness. Ever been in a place so quiet you can hear the blood rushing in your ears? That's not silence. That's just the sound of your own body being a drama queen. But imagine a silence so profound it actually starts messing with your head. That's what happens in the deepest, most acoustically isolated caves in the world. Down there, hundreds of feet beneath the surface, the air itself becomes dead. No rustle of leaves, no distant traffic hum, no dripping water. Nothing. Your brain, which is a total control freak, absolutely hates this. It's been hardwired for millennia to listen for predators, for storms, for the subtle sound of a berry falling off a bush. When it gets nothing, it doesn't just give up and enjoy the peace. Your brain starts inventing things. It begins fabricating sounds out of thin air. The phantom drips, the faint whispers, the almost footsteps in the dark. It's a survival instinct gone haywire, trying to make a scary, soundless world feel a little more normal by populating it with threats that aren't there. The longer you sit in that kind of true silence, the more your mind starts to unravel, desperate to find a pattern or a danger where there is none. You are, in essence, being haunted by your own biology. It's a terrifying, solitary psychological phenomenon where the scariest monster in the darkness is the one your brain draws for itself. Number 2. The sickness of immersion. You know that feeling when you've been working on a computer for too long and you look at your hands and they just don't look, right? Your brain is so fixated on the screen that it forgets how to process the rest of your body, creating a brief, unsettling moment of disconnect. Now take that little glitch and dial it up to 11, then trap it 1,000 feet underground. The sickness of immersion is what happens to cavers and deep-sea divers who spend an inordinate amount of time in extreme, isolated environments. They're so focused on the task at hand, so mentally immersed in the claustrophobic alien world around them, that their brain begins to discard non-essential sensory input like the feeling of their own body. They've reported moments of profound detachment, where their limbs feel like they belong to someone else, or where the cave walls seem to breathe and undulate. It's a kind of high-stakes fugue state, where the intense mental focus required for survival in an extreme environment starts to warp your sense of reality. The mind, faced with an environment that's completely unlike anything it evolved to understand, starts to break a little bit, and your own physical body becomes just another surreal, separate object in the terrifying darkness. Number 3. The ancient architects. Imagine you're a professional spelunker. You've been crawling through a series of muddy, narrow passages for hours, all in the name of science. You finally break into a massive, cathedral-like cavern, a place no human has ever seen. The air is still, the silence is thick, and the beam of your headlamp dances across walls that look unnatural. Not in a supernatural way, but in a way that screams purposeful. We're not talking about your run-of-the-mill stalactites and stalagmites here. We're talking about perfectly spaced rows of chiseled markings, geometric patterns that seem to follow a precise, non-random logic. This is not the work of water and time. This is the work of a hand, a very old, very patient hand. And it's not an isolated incident. There are caves all over the world, from the Bruniquel cave in France to the Longyu grottos in China, where modern explorers have found clear evidence of what can only be described as ancient, deliberate construction. Circles made of broken stalagmites deep in a cave, fire pits in the center, and not a single modern tool or trace of the millions of cubic feet of rock that were excavated to make it. These weren't crude shelters. They were monumental, architectural projects. Finding this kind of definitive evidence of advanced, organized societies existing in the deepest, darkest places of the world is deeply unsettling. It forces you to question not just who they were, but what they were doing down there. Was it for protection, ritual, or something far stranger, a kind of subterranean existence we can't even begin to comprehend? It's the ultimate dark history mystery, hidden from the sun for thousands of years. Number 4. The pressure to survive. You know that feeling of being squeezed into a tight space, like a packed elevator or a crowded subway train? It makes you want to get out, to find an open area and take a deep breath. That's your brain screaming claustrophobia, and it's a completely normal, rational reaction to feeling trapped. But imagine taking that feeling and supercharging it, then trapping it 1,000 feet beneath the Earth's surface, in a space so tight you can't even turn your head. This is what some cavers call the squeeze. It's a psychological phenomenon where the physical pressure of the rocks around you becomes so intense, so all-consuming, that your mind begins to create a feedback loop of pure panic. You're not just feeling trapped, you're feeling the weight of a mountain on your body, and your brain starts to believe that the only way to survive is to get out right now, even if it means trying to push through solid rock. This can lead to a kind of temporary psychosis where cavers have been known to panic and get themselves even more stuck, sometimes with fatal consequences. It's the ultimate evolutionary irony, a primal survival instinct so powerful it can override all rational thought, causing you to make a fatal mistake in a place where only calm, logical thinking can save you. The real danger isn't the rock, it's the panic your own mind creates. Number 5. The Troglodytes paradox. Ever stared at a blank wall for too long and started to see things? Your brain, always hungry for stimulation, will try to find patterns and shapes even where there are none. Now take that little visual quirk and plunge it into an environment where there is no light, no color and no variety. The deep cave environment, with its uniform darkness and lack of visual cues, can lead to a condition known as sensory deprivation psychosis. After spending extended periods in total darkness, with nothing but the beam of a headlamp to break up the monotony, cavers have reported a terrifying array of hallucinations. It starts small, phantom flashes of light, strange shadows moving at the edge of your vision. But as the brain gets more desperate for input, the hallucinations can become more complex and vivid. People have seen entire rooms filled with strange creatures, or had conversations with people who aren't there. This isn't just seeing things, it's the brain completely losing its ability to distinguish between reality and a waking dream. The paradox is that the very darkness that protects the cave's secrets is the thing that can make your own mind turn against you. The real world melts away, replaced by a personal horror show generated entirely from within. Number 6. The unseen life. You've probably heard of the crazy creatures living in the deep sea, anglerfish with built-in flashlights and monstrous squid that look like they're from another planet. But the Earth's deepest caves have their own collection of utterly bizarre, alien life forms, and they're arguably even weirder. These are creatures that have never seen the sun, never known what color is. They've evolved over millions of years in total, pitch-black darkness. We're talking about eyeless fish that navigate with chemical sensors, albino salamanders with translucent skin, and spiders that hunt in absolute zero-light conditions. But the truly unsettling thing isn't their appearance. It's the fact that they are living, thriving proof that life can exist, and even flourish, in the most hostile, lightless environments imaginable. These ecosystems don't rely on the sun for energy at all. Instead, they're powered by chemosynthesis, a process where bacteria use chemicals from the rocks to create food. When you're crawling through a passage and you come across one of these creatures, it's a sobering and slightly terrifying reminder that we are not the pinnacle of evolution. Life will find a way, even in a world that would kill us in minutes, and it will evolve into something utterly unrecognizable and deeply unsettling. Number 7. The cave's vengeance. You've probably seen one of those cheesy horror movies where someone gets buried alive, and it's a terrifying thought. The psychological horror of being trapped with your air running out is a primal fear. But in the deepest, most complex cave systems, a different, far more insidious kind of burial can happen. It's not a dramatic collapse, it's something subtle and terrifyingly slow. Cavers sometimes call it the cave's vengeance. It's when a flash flood, a sudden rockfall, or a minor tremor shifts just enough dirt or rock to block your path behind you. You're not aware of it at the time. You continue on, exploring deeper, only to turn around hours later and find that the passage you just came through, your only way out, has been reduced to a claustrophobic, impassable squeeze. Now you're facing a choice. Either try to force your way through, potentially triggering a larger collapse and burying yourself completely, or find an alternative route that might not even exist. The psychological toll of this is unimaginable. You went in with a clear map, a plan, and an exit strategy, only to find that the living, breathing geology of the cave has conspired against you. It's a slow, cold realization that your survival is no longer in your hands, but in the slow, unpredictable movements of the earth itself. Number 8. The sensation of a ghost. Have you ever felt a phantom limb? Amputees sometimes report feeling an itch or a pain in a limb that isn't there anymore. It's the brain's confused wiring, unable to update its body image after a major change. Now, imagine a similar confusion happening in a deep cave environment. Cavers have reported experiencing a bizarre phenomenon where they feel something touch them, a tap on the shoulder, a cold hand on their arm, even when they're alone. This isn't a ghost story, though it sounds like one. It's a psychological trick played by a brain that's been deprived of normal sensory input for too long. In the darkness, the tactile nerve endings in your skin, which are used to constantly processing millions of tiny sensations, are suddenly receiving nothing. The brain, craving stimulation, starts to invent it. It can manifest as a cold spot in the air, a faint whisper, or the distinct feeling of a presence standing right behind you. The terror isn't in believing in ghosts. It's in the horrific realization that your brain can and will create a physical sensation out of nothing, making you a prisoner in a reality that you can no longer trust. The most terrifying ghost in the deepest caves isn't a spirit from the past. It's a hallucination generated by your own malfunctioning nervous system. Number 9. The silence of a forgotten world. Think about the sound of your own voice. The tone, the volume, the way it echoes in a room. It's something you take for granted. But what happens when you're in a place so still, so devoid of all ambient sound, that your own voice sounds completely wrong? Deep inside an airless, anechoic cave, your voice loses its natural resonance. It sounds flat, dead, and utterly alien. This strange acoustic phenomenon is deeply unsettling. It's a core part of your identity, the sound of your own voice, suddenly rendered foreign and strange. But the real terror of the cave's silence is far more profound than just a weird echo. It's the complete lack of a past. These caves are time capsules, places where nothing has changed for thousands, sometimes millions of years. The air you're breathing is ancient. The rock you're touching has been in the dark for so long that its very existence feels like a secret. The silence is a crushing weight of history, a reminder that you are a temporary, flimsy thing in a world of geological time. The caves don't just hold secrets. They hold an oppressive, lonely silence that whispers of a world that existed long before we did and will continue to exist long after we are gone. It's the sound of a forgotten world, and it's one of the most terrifying things a human can ever experience. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.